Welcome to the Roanoke Presents From Print to Podcast. I'm your friendly neighborhood editor, Liz Long, and on our latest episode, we're excited to spotlight the incredible young talents featured in our 18 Under 18 feature, in partnership with Junior Achievement of Southwest Virginia. This initiative highlights some of the brightest young minds in our region, showcasing their incredible talents, achievements, and community contributions. Joining us today are Keri Garnett, the President and CEO of Junior Achievement of Southwest Virginia, and Cory Applegate, owner and center director of Mathnasium of Roanoke. Mathnasium was a proud sponsor of this feature, and Cory is also a Junior Achievement board member who played a key role in making all of this come together. Thank you both so much for being on our show today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Glad to have you. Now, I like to think of this 18 Under 18 feature as maybe possibly slightly inspired by the Roanokers 40 Under 40, which we're coincidentally gearing up for our 6th year now. But Keri, when we sat down to discuss this idea last year, I was so excited to find another way to highlight local do-gooders, no matter their age, right? I think that's so key, that you can be any age and make an impact in our community. And so I love that this is sort of featuring the next and future generations of Roanoke leaders and community builders.
Right, yeah.
So before we dive into the 18 Under 18 feature, I want to share more about Junior Achievement with our listeners. Junior Achievement of Southwest Virginia is an organization dedicated to preparing young people for success. You guys provide programs that foster work readiness, entrepreneurship, financial literacy skills, all the things that I definitely needed as a kid. I think that's so awesome. And your mission to inspire and prepare young people to succeed in our economy. I mean, what a statement. Like, that's so important and critical that you don't really think about it 10 years old. But, you know, now as an adult, I'm like, I wish I'd had that opportunity as a kid.
Yeah.
So do you mind kind of giving us an overview of Junior Achievement and sort of the mission as a whole?
Sure. So Junior Achievement of Southwest Virginia, we were started in Roanoke by the Chamber of Commerce in 1957. So we've been here for over 60 years. Yeah. We serve now 20 territories in Southwest Virginia, so kind of all of Southwest Virginia. And yeah, we partner with local schools, and we bridge the gap between the community and schools. We bring in volunteers from the community and corporations to teach kids life skills. You know, a lot of that is centered around financial literacy. So, you know, some of our youngest students are in kindergarten, and a lot of people are like, well, how can you teach kindergartners about money? And they are just, you know, sponges. They absorb everything we teach. They're excited. So, you know, even at that age, we're planting these seeds of financial responsibility, knowledge, and entrepreneurship, just getting them excited to grow up. You know, sometimes that can be a daunting thing, and we want kids to feel excited about their future and just have all that knowledge that they need to succeed later. Right.
And with programs like Mathnasium, I mean, that's pretty important as far as I think it's critical that a kindergartner can learn some basic math. I mean, I need that as an adult. So, you know, but what you're doing is really important too, as far as helping those kids to sort of figure out how to add numbers and divide. I mean, you know, we were talking about with a coworker about how what we've learned as kids is not necessarily the same how they put it together, right? So they're sort of learning a different way of mathing this time, right?
Sure, yeah, and so, you know, what we're doing at Mathnasium, it goes, you know, hand in hand with Junior Achievement, is we're trying to reach them at a young age and help set them up for that success as they get older.
Yeah, I can't wait to dive more into that because I'm just fascinated. As an English major who, you know, is not very good at math, I love this concept that, like, you're offering this program to kids of all ages. It's so critical. I wish I'd had that at 15. I needed it for geometry, just so you know.
Same.
But going back to Junior Achievement, thinking about some of those programs and initiatives, what else are you guys offering to the youth in the community? You're talking about going into the schools. I think that's sort of a key indicator of what makes you different from maybe other programs.
Sure. So a lot of what we do, you know, we go into the schools, teachers invite us into the classroom, and we train volunteers from the community. Again, that's, you know, a big thing that makes us different is it's not just our employees going in and teaching something. You know, we already have this curriculum. We train volunteers in the community to come in, talk about their jobs. You know, there's a lot of careers out there that kids don't even know exist in this area. So that's a big feature of that. But, you know, we're just bringing the real life into the classroom. We're starting, you know, since COVID, we're starting to do a little bit more experiential learning. We do a lot of work with Radford University, taking high schoolers to Radford. They get some entrepreneurship experience there. They get to do college tours. And, you know, we're launching a program this year, our Stock Market Challenge. We just did a summer camp for them. So we're working towards becoming a little more experiential outside of the classroom, just to give kids more of that real life experience. So in the classroom, out of the classroom, whatever makes them feel connected to the community, and however we can introduce them to what's out here in our area, that's our mission.
Yeah, and that's so interesting. And I think it definitely applies to Mathnasium too, right? Because you hear math and you're like, oh man. But there are obviously so many jobs and industries that need math, even if it's not like, oh, math right in your face, right? Like you imagine all the opportunities that you're being offered, and for those students to see that there's so much more to it than just adding some numbers, right? You have all these job opportunities in front of you.
Right. I mean, STEM fields are some of the highest paying jobs that we have out there. So it's important for these students to get exposure to, successful people in the community, right? So that's why it's so important that that we get these community partners and volunteers with JA, because they're giving a mentorship to these students and giving them something to shoot for that they may have not been exposed to before. And so same thing with Mathnasium, is we're helping these students develop skills that transcend just math education, and help them as they get older and they go out and they have an impact on the community.
It's sort of like when I was growing up, I wanted to be a veterinarian, and then I saw how much science was involved, and I was like, oh man, I don't know. I don't know. But to know that you have this option to be able to cultivate your knowledge of math or whatever it is that you're interested in is so key. And so in thinking about, you've really made an impact on the community over the years. I'm wondering if you have any specific, memories that come to mind, or stories that maybe prove just how important the organization is to Roanoke Valley as a whole.
Sure. Our Stock Market Challenge summer camp, we just finished that 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was a small group of about 10, 12 kids, but every day we had different volunteers from the finance sector come in, whether it was a financial counselor from the Financial Empowerment Center, helping others through financial knowledge, or private investors that these kids, a lot of them didn't even know that was a job necessarily. So they were just so excited every day. They asked so many questions. They were so curious. A couple of them at the end of the camp were like, now I want to be a financial investor. Now I want to do this. Now I want to do that. And we're working to get them deeper mentorship opportunities with these, individuals that came in to volunteer. So, really exposing children to success that's possible in this area, I think, is so important. It's just, you think you're only going in for an hour to talk to some kids, but you leave and they take it home with them, and their minds are reeling with the possibilities. So, a lot of our success just comes from inspiring them.
And I love that you've got this twofold sort of, you've got the community, because, you or I as a mentor or a teacher might go in there and just be so inspired by the kids learning that we want to go out and do more and and participate. But then you've also got the side, of course, with the students, who some of them are 18 and under 18. They're taking this advice, they're taking this inspiration that they're learning, and they're contributing to our local economy, even at 10 years old.
Right.
So we're going to talk about them. That's the neatest thing, that you're setting them up for success, and that most importantly, they are bringing it right back into our local economy. They're right here in our backyard.
Right.
Yeah. What a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah. And I'm from this area, and I just feel really strongly, when I was growing up, I thought I had to move away to become successful.
Sure.
I thought I needed to go to New York City, and
it's always the big
be
cities,
a journalist or something,
It's like a Hallmark movie.
That's what you think, especially from Southwest Virginia. We don't always have the opportunities that other places have. And for me, it's just really, really important to let kids know you can build it yourself here, or you can be successful here.
Right.
We have a great area.
Yeah. And so you and Cory were talking about the importance of your partners. And so before we get too deep into 1818, I really want to highlight why that is so important. I mean, you've talked about people coming in, speaking to students, but it's more than just that, right? I mean, you, Cory, as a board member, your job is to really sort of see that input and see the outreach in the community. What does that mean? What does that look like when you're trying to get more people involved in the importance of it?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so there are so many students in Southwest Virginia that are reached by junior achievement here. It's a big territory. And so it's so important that we get the volunteers to come in, and whether it's in the classroom to meet with students and develop, and to deliver the programs, or if it's to be a mentor for some of our high school students who are looking to figure out what is their next step. So the more involvement we have from community partners, the better experience we can provide to all of these students.
Yeah, well, that's so important. I just can't exclaim how important it is that our community is involved in this, because again, you're putting in all these efforts, you're putting in this time, but you're getting it back out, right? Like the students are coming out ready to help or participate or be inspired and take what they've learned and really give it back to their own community.
Right.
So that's really cool. So let's talk about some of these 18 under 18, because I am just amazed by these kids. And so we're featuring some really truly outstanding young individuals. It's so inspiring to see how much they've achieved at such a young age. We're talking about how we're adults now. We're like, oh my gosh, would we have been this motivated at 12? And so it really speaks to the importance of supporting our youth through JA, through Mathnasium and other programs and companies and businesses doing that. And so these kids, not just the ones in 18 under 18, but of course every kid who's making an impact in some way, but they're making a significant impact. But the ones in 18 under 18, so they're excelling in various fields, from everything including community service, environmental activism, athletics, the arts, entrepreneurship, academics, even mental health advocacy, which I think is just so cool. You don't normally think about that from a 13-year-old, right? But what an inspiration. And so, for example, we have young leaders organizing community cleanup events, raising awareness for mental health, mentoring peers, running successful small businesses, and their dedication is really, truly inspiring to the Roanoke Valley. And so each of these people are bringing unique talents, strong commitment to bettering our community. And so we're going to go through a real quick list for listeners, because we want you guys to pick up the issue and read all about them.
I was tearing up as you were even just saying that. It's just the Whitney Houston, I believe the children are our future playing in the background of my head.
Well, and so you really got to know the nominees, right?
Yeah,
not just the 18 under 18, but everybody who was submitted. Yeah. And so it must have been really tough.
It's very hard
to dwindle
to
it
choose.
Down.
Yes.
I know how hard it is for 40 under 40, and I get what? 22 more choices than you do.
Right.
So it's really hard. But so real quick, before we dive into sort of the process of how you did that, bear with me here, but we've got Cole Abbott, 17. He is a band leader and an Eagle Scout dedicated to community service. Jayla Bowles, at just 11, is a jewelry entrepreneur and a pageant princess, inspiring others through ballet. Tyreek Bowles, at 16, is a legislative page and a dancer aiming for a dance therapy career. Irene Combs Candidate, at 17, is a theater actress. I saw her in the role of Guys and Dolls. She was amazing. She's also a social justice advocate. Jax Davies, at just 11, is a visual artist and an academic achiever with a passion for entrepreneurship. Caleb Ng, at 17, you were talking about how incredibly inspiring he was and how many things he's doing, but he's the founder of The Kid Details LLC, as well as a leader in his school clubs. Nevaeh Huffman, at 17, a teen leader and an athlete with a future in nursing. We always need those. Thank you very much. Ashton LaFont, at 17, is an entrepreneur and a community volunteer excelling in school, while Wyatt Martin, at 16, is a student athlete and an aspiring medical professional. Great place to be here for that, I guess. Frankie Martinez, at 10, is a young entrepreneur expanding his spicy business. I've seen him on WDBJ showing off all his hot sauces. And then Hadley Scott, at only 8 years old, is a lemonade stand entrepreneur donating to local causes. Eiley Shepard, at 13, is a student body president and an advocate for outdoor education. Clementine Shreve Alder, at 16, is an artist and entrepreneur showcasing at local markets. You can go buy her work right now. Right. Go do it. And then we've got Luke Thompson, at 17, student leader and community volunteer in academics and sports. Paul Turman, age 9, is a young entrepreneur selling eggs and donating to food pantries. Theo Villanueva, at 17, is a DECA competitor and founder of a marketing consulting business. Jeffrey Luke Watson, at 17, is a podcaster. We'll have to get him on here. And also a track athlete inspiring community engagement. While Lanissa Elena Day Yee West, at 14, is a volunteer and an environmentalist supporting local charities. I mean...
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's just 18. Wow.
Exactly.
And so obviously they are exemplifying everything we believe in for Roanoke Valley, right? The spirit of leadership, innovation, community service. No matter your age, you can make an impact in this area.
Yes.
It's so inspiring. Right. Also really want to do a quick shout out thank you to photographer Marissa Yee, who took that really amazing group shot and all the cute headshots for their growing portfolios, obviously. So now that we've met kind of a very brief introduction, let's talk about the process of 18 under 18. I've had phone calls, I've had emails. They want to know how to get their kid into next year's 18 under 18.
Right.
What did that process look like from your team?
We launched it in January. We just opened the nomination form on our website. You guys helped us promote it. We sent it, out on our social media newsletters. It was just, filling out general information, and we just need a recommendation letter or a letter from, it can be family, friends, teachers, clergy, whatever, just, letting us know why these kids are so spectacular. We got a lot of responses, and it was really hard to pick just 18 kids. But we're hoping, I'm glad there's interest for next year, because we're hoping to keep this going and to keep highlighting kids that are doing wonderful things. And one thing that we really wanted to make sure that we were doing was making sure there was a variety of interests and talents, not just all academic or, So I really think we succeeded this year in doing that. They're all so different. Their interests are so varied, and their passions are, you can just, when you read these biographies of these kids, you can just tell how passionate, intelligent, wonderful they are. So I'm looking forward to doing it again next year. Shortly on our website, JASWVA.org, we'll have signups for next year. We'll make that announcement. But if now you want to just send us an email on our website, if you already have a kid in mind and you want them to be in next year, so you can go ahead and send it to us. That's no big deal.
Yeah, we'll be excited to take that.
Right.
That's not a problem. Well, I love that you mentioned, so obviously the parents are very proud of their children.
Yes.
They're going to nominate them all day long, as is their right. But I love that you mentioned other people too, because when we do the 40 under 40, right, we get a lot of nominees from their parents or their spouses and their partners, which is wonderful. But then we also get your coworkers, your volunteering, your clergy. I mean, I think that's so cool that somebody who, is outside of your normal circle is willing to believe in you and like make it known that you're doing these incredible things.
Right. We had a good number of students have teachers write letters for them. And
that
that
so
was
much.
my favorite, actually. I teachers, obviously, with JA, love education, love teachers. But that was really heartwarming to see and read. Anyone in the community can nominate.
They just got to be under 18. That's
just
the deal.
under 18 at the time the issue comes out. So,
Yeah, well, we'll definitely share more of that on our website, of course, and then we're going to promote the heck out of it once you open. We got a couple months before we start promoting that again. But and I think it's great. You talked about the criteria, which is very interesting to me. We kind of do the same thing for 40 under 40. We want to make sure we're sort of showcasing all the different industries. We're not just healthcare or just tourism or just outdoors. There's so much to this area, and so highlighting individuals. What's also great is I think you've also had a variety of lifestyles. So they're not all necessarily at school. Sometimes they're homeschooled or they're at a private school. And so I love that you have that differentiation as well to show that, again, you can make a difference from wherever you're sitting.
Right, wherever you are and wherever you're located. Again, we have now 20 territories in Southwest Virginia. Not every kid in this was from Roanoke City,
right.
Although we are headquartered here, we really do want to represent all of Southwest Virginia and all of the different lifestyles and territories and areas. There's, some agriculture going on in here, that makes sense. So, yeah, we really wanted to make sure we got that full picture of what being a kid in Southwest Virginia can look like.
Yeah, I love that. And so to put you on the spot here, we're thinking about just a few of the remarkable accomplishments of this year's 18 under 18. Do you mind sharing some of those if we can think of them off the top of our heads?
Oh, man, there's so many. You listed so many earlier. I was really impressed with the young gentleman. The name is... Can't think of it. There's 18 of them. But he has a podcast, and he is interviewing politicians and local community leader. I believe it's
Jeffrey Luke Watson.
Yep, Luke Watson. There he is. Yes, from Carroll County. I don't know if anyone's ever been to Carroll County, but it's out there, and he did not let that stop him. He is a go-getter, strongest handshake. He is confident, and I was so impressed by him. And even Theo right there, just the handshake on that kid. He knows what he wants to do, started his own marketing firm.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking about his community involvement. He has raised money, over $42,000 for food to give back to area families.
It's insane.
I'm not doing enough.
Right, exactly.
I think I need to go, these kids inspire me. I mean, truly.
And I think there's a narrative that kids today are disconnected and, and I don't want to harp on that too much, but kids today are passionate and they care about their future so much. And these kids, every single one of them inspired me.
Well,
truly.
and this is more of a fun question than anything, but let's say we're 12 again, right?
Right.
And we have all the things that these kids have at their fingertips. What would you be doing?
Oh, man.
I'll go first.
Oh, yeah.
I told you already. I think I would be a content creator for books. I'd read all day. I'd want people to send me books. That'd be my thing.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh my God, little 12-year-old me's like dying inside. I would love that. Just go on YouTube and talk about books all day. My gosh.
You can still make that happen.
I could still make that happen. But I just know at 13, that would have been like my life goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. How about you?
Yeah, I wish I would have stuck with learning an instrument, and maybe I did
rock
something
star.
with that. Entrepreneurship, obviously I'm an entrepreneur now. I never knew exactly what I wanted to do with that bug as a kid, but so that was the thing, a couple of these in here for me, like Paul Turman with his egg selling. Like I have chickens and I can't get them to lay enough, so I couldn't make a successful business out of this. So that's, excellent to see that. And then I think it was it Jayla who's doing the jewelry. I mean, just impressive young kids with that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, and I love that. So it's sort of funny because you think it's their interest, right? Like they love a piece of jewelry, and it sort of just stems from there, and it just sort of ripples out into next thing you know, she's making jewelry and selling it. And I mean, that's really incredible.
Yeah.
Like I had like I read books as a kid,
Right,
and like
yeah.
I can't imagine to have YouTube and content and all that at my fingertips now, like what I would have done with that.
Right.
It's, these kids are amazing. And
They
so many
are.
more, again, not just the 18, but like you said, these are motivated, highly inspired individuals ready to make a difference in whatever way that means to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I truly believe, and JA believes, that all children are entrepreneurs. And that, I think, a lot of people don't really understand what that means or what you can do with entrepreneurship. I'm really big on social entrepreneurship, as are some of these kids. But, everyone grows up with that spark, and we really at Junior Achievement want to encourage that and keep that going and give them the resources and even the recognition of what they're doing to keep that going.
I agree. There is something about it's, nobody does things for the awards or for the recognition,
Right,
but
yeah.
when somebody pays attention to that, I think it does motivate you that much more to keep at it, right?
Exactly.
Like you don't get burnout because now like the word is getting out and your good work is like making an impact.
Exactly,
And that's
yeah.
certainly motivating. And so we did talk about some of the future goals and aspirations of these 18 under 18. Some of them are a little younger, and so they're still continuing to do what they do. But then you have a bunch of kids in here who are ready to take these skills and go to college and branch out and make bigger lives for themselves with what they've learned and what they're doing. So I think that's just fascinating.
Yeah, and hopefully they will either come back to Southwest Virginia and infuse our economy with that energy. That's our hope. That if they do go away to college somewhere else, they come back here and continue making this area a great place to live.
Absolutely. And Cory, I think you're the perfect person to answer this. But how can our community support these kids in achieving their dreams?
Yeah, I mean, I think through JA, that's a huge way, right? Just through the mentorship opportunities, because these kids just need that guidance, right? And so if you have some good mentors here in Southwest Virginia, maybe a lot of these kids who do go off to school somewhere else will come back because their mentor is here, right? Someone that had an impact on their path. So I think that's the biggest thing that we can do there.
Yeah. Well, and I will add to that, JA has a survey that they've done with alumni. 86% of our students that had a mentor in JA of any kind, 86% of them end up going into an industry similar to their JA mentor.
Oh.
That to me is just astonishing.
What an impact.
Right.
Like you have made such an impact on this child that
Exactly.
they are going to like follow your path essentially.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry.
People may think that, showing up for an
That's so
hour
sweet.
isn't that impactful, but it is.
I love that. That's another reason. Again, JA, Big Brothers Big Sisters, like all those programs are so key. Weston Center for Youth, like all these programs are making a difference. And so actually that leads in perfectly to talking. Cory, you were talking about Mathnasium and some of the people that help out there and how you're really have student mentors there helping other students.
Yeah, I mean, so one of my favorite instructors to hire is an advanced high school student, someone who's excelling in mathematics, but can reach those younger elementary age students and give them a mentor, right? Someone to look up to see that I may be struggling in math in fourth grade. But I see this student and the success that they're having, and I can achieve that too.
And again, sort of like we were talking about the community and the kid, right? So now that young student will look up to this older student, maybe follow in their path, but the older student has responsibility, and knowing that they're inspiring someone younger than them. Maybe they don't have a sibling at home, so this is a great way to do that. I mean, that's so critical. Like, you just don't think about that until you hear 86%. You're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I hope that this is inspiring those high school instructors too to maybe become a teacher, right? We need teachers so much. And so it's like, they have this real life job opportunity to work with students and help develop them. And it might help them to catch that bug.
Right.
So
and it is real life. I mean, let's say somebody, who looks like me or struggled like me, to sort of relate to that child and know, like, okay, they didn't love math in 4th grade either, but now look at them, you know, like, what a great way to connect. Right. And so in thinking, I really want to highlight Mathnasium now, because I just think it's so cool, like, what you guys are doing. I love that you're bringing in students to help other students. Like, what a wonderful thing. And so let's talk about you for just one hot minute.
Sure.
But you worked in the financial services industry. You were all about some math. And what motivated you to switch to education?
Sure. Like I had said earlier, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit and didn't know quite what I wanted to do with that, but I always knew that I wanted to be in business for myself. I had grandparents who were good role models for that and owning a small business. And the opportunity of Mathnasium just came upon me and my wife, our family, one day. And we started looking into that, and I said, I want to be a part of this. This is exciting stuff. We're making a difference in these kids' lives.
Looks like you felt the spark, right?
Yes,
like,
very much so. And, being in a finance background and working with the math piece of it, the education piece just kind of, was the fun part. I really was excited to get into that and surround myself with great instructors who had that passion to teach math.
Well, that's really exciting. And so your background in this has really helped you in running Mathnasium. How do you think those two things go hand in hand? Because did you think at 10 you'd be running the, like you said, you knew entrepreneurship was somewhere in there, but maybe you didn't know I was going to be running Mathnasium.
Right, exactly. And, so I had a lot of management experience before opening Mathnasium, so I think that helped, that leadership experience. But yeah, it's been a lot of learning, but it has been so much fun to do, and to see the success that these kids are having after working with us in our program has been remarkable.
Yeah, and let's talk about that a little bit, because you're making math fun and engaging, two things that you don't always feel synonymous with math, but you're making that change, and you're making sure that kids understand this is going to be fun. You're going to love this. Once you like open that door, it's over, right? Like, they're just going to run through it and do all the math they can.
Yeah, exactly. If they're not having fun with it, they're not going to be motivated to do it, right? And so we do a lot with a robust rewards program and games and, using manipulatives to help them as they're learning these concepts and making it feel extracurricular, right? This is a fun time to learn, right? And parents love that. It's like, I get to take my kid to Mathnasium for an hour. They get to improve their math skills, yet they're having fun and looking forward to the next time that they get to come in. So yeah, we do use candy and things that help bribe them a little bit.
My husband does it in middle school too. It's full,
but it's so much fun, and we have a good time with them.
Yeah. And how do you make math fun and engaging, especially for different age groups? Because obviously you're going to have different approaches, different subjects, things like that. What makes it exciting for an 8-year-old to come in and learn some math that he's struggling with in class? And then what makes it exciting for a 17-year-old who's trying to go to college, doesn't want to do any more math, that's me, but still needs to get through it and understand what they're about to walk into in real life with a checkbook?
Right. And so, a lot of students will come to us and they just have this really negative attitude towards math, right? Because they're struggling. And what we know is that the students somewhere along the way in their math education journey, they got frustrated, confused, lost on something. And then they, over time, as math education continued
trauma,
right, it continued to advance for them, they just lost the interest in it, and it became a struggle and a fight. We hear this from parents all the time, that math homework time is such a struggle in our household, right? And so what we do is through our Mathnasium method is we start them where they are, right? We assess them and figure out what do they need to work on. And if you start where they are with math, you're able to help build confidence first, right? And when you build confidence, then the understanding comes from that, and the enjoyment comes from it.
Cory, you're so much more than a math instructor. Like, you're a psychologist and a therapist. And I mean, this is a really critical way of participating in a kid's life and making them understand something, but being excited about it. I mean, especially if they haven't been excited about it before.
Right, exactly. And so that's my favorite thing, is to see the student comes in and they're like, I'm just okay with math. And then they spend time with us and I really love this, right? Yeah. And now I'm inspired to look into career opportunities that will use math.
Right. It doesn't mean you're going to be a math teacher or you can do or a financial advisor, even if that's what you want, but you can really do anything. I mean, as long as you have the sort of basic foundation, right?
Right. And it goes beyond just learning math concepts, right? It's learning critical thinking and problem solving, which transcends just math.
Yeah. So cool. I mean, I sound like a nerd when I say that, but truly, it's just fascinating to see, especially as an English major who did have frustration in school and felt like I couldn't do it. And the next thing you know, it's just not my thing, and that's been my whole life. But I love this. So let me know when you open up the classes for adults. And thinking about Mathnasium for the Roanoke Valley community, how do you, I know you've kind of said it in so many words, but how do you feel like you have made an impact on the community with your work?
Sure. We're coming up at the end of being open for 4 years. We opened right in the heart of the pandemic.
Oh my gosh, right in the middle of it.
And we have helped hundreds of students, help them catch up and get ahead and enjoy math, right? It's a very different concept for Southwest Virginia, Mathnasium, but what we're doing is showing that there are these options out here like JA, right, to inspire kids even beyond their traditional classroom setting. What can they do and what experiences can they have?
And I love that. So again, you're thinking about financial and money and all that, but then you're not just going off to college to do the traditional 4-year. You might have someone going to trade school and needs to learn some of those numbers so that they can be an electrician and please come fix my house. That's really important. Again, you're giving back to the local economy in that way. Even if it's not a return in 24 hours, you're looking at a return probably within 5 to 10 years of a kid really making an impact and a difference. And that's thanks to you. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
And so in junior achievement, I think that these two things really, Mathnasium and junior achievement sound like they just go perfectly hand in hand.
They do.
Yeah, but what inspired you to join the board? Was it, were you doing Mathnasium first, or was this something that you saw and just really felt powerfully attracted to it?
Yeah, so I actually was doing Mathnasium first, and when I started to look into junior achievement, I saw how much our visions aligned, and I'm all about helping students, right? That is my mission since opening Mathnasium, and so seeing that JA fit in that same realm, I knew it was the right fit.
Yeah, it seems like they really do go hand in hand, I think.
Yeah, and like you said, there's not necessarily always an immediate return on investment, and sometimes that can be hard to understand, but planting the seeds and planting, our games at JA are very similar to what Mathnasium does. We're making it fun. We're making it exciting to where it doesn't feel like a chore, and that is setting them up. That's that association with it being fun and something they enjoy doing sets them up for a future, really bright future.
Right. And here's the thing for a board member, you get a lot out of JA too that you bring back to Mathnasium. I don't know if you have specific examples or anything like that, but I'm sure that your work on the board has influenced your work at Mathnasium.
Sure. Yeah. And also too, just being around other community leaders on that board and getting their insight and getting to tell them about Mathnasium and what we're doing. Again, it's a newer concept for our area, so it's educating people on just what we do and all of that. So
yeah, well, Keri, thank you so much for letting us participate in this. We were oh my gosh, when you came to me last year and we talked about this, I was just so jumping out of my chair because we did 40 under 40. This is our 6th year going into it, and I love that. We do get some feedback this is great, but we want to see other ages. So this past year we did 20 over 50, and so now we get to do 18 under 18. And it's we're covering so many bases of all the incredible people in this region. So thank you for allowing us to highlight even more amazing Roanokers.
Well, thank you for being open to it, and it's been wonderful. I'm so pleased with how this turned out. Again, I'm really excited for next year.
Me too.
If you think your child is doing amazing things, or their sports or academics, academics or art, please, nominate them. We really want to highlight any and all children in this area that are doing great things.
Well, I tell you, our 40 under 40, our first year, we had more than 40, obviously, but the second year it doubled, the third year it tripled, and it's just continued to be, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this?
Right.
So I think you're probably going to have the same.
I hope so.
It's a good problem to have.
Good problem.
But, it's really amazing, and thank you guys for putting in so much work to choose 18 people, and of course to move forward in all the work you're doing. It's really incredible. Anything else you guys wanted to add before we end our episode?
Sure. I would just like to add, we are always looking for volunteers at JA. If you have an hour on your lunch break that you can spare to go into a local classroom, we train you. You can even pick the classroom if you have a kid or a grandchild and you want to do something a little extra in their classroom, teach them financial literacy. But we're also looking for career coaches for our older students. And that is just an hour a week. It's virtual. You don't have to even leave your office, but just helping older kids, see where they want to be in their future and maybe seeing what barriers they might have to achieving those goals. So if you're not an in-classroom type of person, we also have opportunities for you to volunteer and change a kid's life.
That's great. Well, if you need any writers or anybody in publishing, I'm going to
Wonderful. Yes, so we can always.
Everybody wants to be a writer because it's math. So, anyway.
That's why I wanted to be a writer.
No math, right? No math. It turns out there's a little bit of math. So,
I know. My job now, I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't think I had to do math.
It's everywhere.
I love that high schools are incorporating the financial literacy and here's how you work a credit card.
Right.
I could have benefited from that quite a bit at 17. So we'll see. Again, thank you both so much for joining us today. It's so clear that Mathnasium and Junior Achievement of Southwest Virginia are playing crucial roles in empowering youth in our community. Really appreciate your guys' time today. Cory, it's so inspiring to see Mathnasium making math accessible, fun for kids in the Roanoke Valley, and I think helping students truly understand and appreciate that math is commendable. And so for listeners, if you would like to learn more about Mathnasium, how it can benefit your child, please visit the Mathnasium of Roanoke website at mathnasium.com. And Keri, Junior Achievement's dedication to preparing young people for a successful future is absolutely invaluable. Thank you for the programs and support that your organization is offering to shape our leaders of tomorrow. And so if you're interested in supporting Junior Achievement of Southwest Virginia, dear listeners, you can learn more about their impactful programs, nominating your own 18 under 18 kid for our 2025 feature, being a volunteer, and so much more. You can visit their website at swva.ja.org. We'll share all those links on our podcast page so you can find them all in one easy place. Again, thank you to Cory Applegate, owner and center director of Mathnasium of Roanoke, and Keri Garnett, the president and CEO of Junior Achievement of Southwest Virginia, for your time and contributions. Really appreciate it today.
Thank you so much, Liz.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to please read our 18 under 18 feature and learn all about these incredible young entrepreneurs, artists, innovators, and so much more in the latest issue of the Roanoker on newsstands now. And you can always read more at theroanoker.com. We'll see you next month on From Print to Podcast.